Okay, it's 3 o'clock afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, taking the time to talk to us. Really what we're trying to do here is some market research and also want to present some of the developments that we're making at our hometown on AI image generation. Some of the tools that we've been working with include Dall-E, Adobe Firefly, Stable Diffusion. And this whole webinar is brought to you by our hometown. We do websites for newspapers. So that's kind of the context of where this is all coming from. My name is Matt Larson. I'm the president and CEO. And today I've got with me on Christopher Winders, who's going to be really, he's kind of leading the R&D on a lot of this. And so he's got a lot of experience with these tools. So he'll be leading the demos. So welcome, Chris. Thanks for jumping on. Good.
Hey, thank you.
Looking forward to this discussion. I'm going to make sure to keep my chat box open. So, and also the Q&A area, you can type questions in there as we go. Basically kind of set the context for, how we're looking at applying some of this stuff. Obviously with, image generation with AI, there's countless applications, but we're always looking for kind of the lowest hanging fruit and the stuff that'll have the biggest impact. And working with newspapers for 26 years now, we've seen it all, and we've dealt with so many issues with formatting of the homepage around images, because so many newspaper articles don't have images, and it creates layout problems. So that's been an issue we've been dealing with for a long time. The solution has been just kind of stock images that you can manually choose, or just have a default image of your logo that goes in there. But those really don't get the engagement that we want. We want more click-throughs coming from social media, more engagement on the website. And that's very clear in the metrics that an image on a story is going to get more clicks. So, just as you can see, and I'm sure many of you can relate, many of the stories on the homepage don't have images. And when we translate it to HTML, those articles are just less attractive. So it would be one really straightforward application of AI image generation. What if we could automatically generate custom images for articles based on the content of the article? Just basically looking at the words used, what is the subject of the article? Is it and I'm going to show you some examples here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video and just show you some of the things that we've done with Dall-E. First of all, I put these examples together. Then we're going to get to a live demo with Chris, which is going to be really fun. But go ahead and give me your feedback on these. Which of these do you think is real and which is an AI image? Because the prompt was high school sports. So, this is just very limited prompt. We could go more detail, but these are the variations that it came up with. And these are all AI generated. So, super realistic. With people, it seems like different models do better than others on the faces. So it seems to deliberately avoid faces in some cases on this particular model. But this would be something that, could just automatically fill on say a sports story. If the AI could identify the article a soccer story, just drop in this image automatically if there was nothing on the print article. So I just put together a bunch of kind of generic examples, bands at a festival. These all came out nice, but they are kind of, distorted and abstract looking. But the crazy thing that you'll see here is it's all text prompts, and it's like ChatGPT in the sense that you can just talk to it in natural language and get what you want with enough tries. So, I guess that's kind of where part of the challenge comes in is, how do we automate this? But, these are just the recommendations that came out right out of the box. This is, I'm up in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I just was curious what it would look like, for an actual national park, some police article. This is what I was imagining for this. If there was some investigation going on in a national park, could we just put together images like this? And I guess the question for the audience here is, would you want to use these types of images Or would it be better to use, stock images from your archive? I guess I'm just kind of curious on your viewpoint on that. Let's check out the last couple here. I think we got Canyonlands, Utah. So again, just like a real place. These look good to me, but I don't know if there are actual, positions in Canyonlands where you could get this particular picture. But I have pretty high confidence that there are, because this is, all based on a machine learning model that's just taken real data out from the internet and processed it. So, there's got to be countless pictures of this national park. So, that's just stuff that I haven't really looked into, but got New York City. So yeah, these would be probably a lot easier to confirm, the accuracy, because there's very clear landmarks, but certainly looks real enough. And, as you'll see, we can do kind of more like cartoonish like images. So it's very obvious that it's AI generated. Yeah. So like Mark is asking a real question. How do you label these in the caption, assuming the caption is included as a photo illustration, right, of a fake AI image? I've seen some customers, this is still unexplored territory. We're developing the standards, I guess is the answer, Mark, as we go. But I've seen Signals AZ down in Arizona has written some articles by ChatGPT, and they will just put that in the byline, by Guy Rodgensen, by ChatGPT, edited by Guy Rodgensen, who's the editor there, something along those lines. But yeah, I think you would want to definitely indicate somehow in a way that the reader can clearly see that this is AI. We'll talk a little bit about some tagging and some crypto mechanisms that are being used by Adobe to tag images as original. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but even just for the reader, I think to make it clear in the byline or the caption, it makes sense, Mark. Oh, this is the article you put together, or the example. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, I saw the fireworks article on the homepage there on Clark County. So I just decided to ask ChatGPT if it would take a look at that article, and I gave it a sample prompt, just completely unrelated, but just to give it some words to use, because a lot of times the language models will just say, I don't know, I don't do images and whatnot. So I gave it a little bit of the prompt. I gave it the post, and I asked it to give me 5 prompts based on the post. And then I took this the last one, number 5 there, and I made a couple of adjustments because Coffeyville's in Alabama, and I wanted it to be more photo and whatnot. And this is one of the examples I got.
This was with Dall-E, or which model?
Oh, this was using Diffusion.
Okay, got it. So yeah, you kind of did that processing that I imagine we will need to do on the back end, where you simplify the article down to a prompt, right? Yeah, because that's interesting. That's prompt engineering right there. But if we could make that automated and just cut that step out, so we just generate a summary of every article and then plug it in. That might be how we handle it on the back end. But yeah, that's a great example. So that was an article from a couple slides earlier of the Clark County Democrat that was missing a story in print. And yes, so the fireworks. It's not like you need to put these images in print. We're just using this to fill out the website and the digital presence. Okay, cool. So let's. We will come back to the Clark County Democrat, because I've got some examples to show on chatbots that we're testing out there. But I think now, just to get a little bit into the computer science behind this, I think it would be the next slide. Just kind of breaking down machine learning briefly. At a high level, how do these image models work and what's going on here? You have all this data from the input layer coming from the internet, just tons of images, websites being scraped. And by the way, this is kind of a rising topic for us. Our websites are protected. So if you have a paywall protecting your content, Google cannot get it, which means these AI models cannot get the full article. They can get an excerpt, which is enough. That's what we give to Google and the headline, but they don't get the full story. So that's very important. And there's a website that I'll maybe share at the end where you can check your website to see if it's a server side paywall or a client side. If it's client side, then that's something that these AI models can get around and scrape your content. But anyway, that's a little bit of a diversion there. Just to get back to this, you have the input of all these images, and then this layer of sort of electrical neurons that have these different weights between them. The weights get adjusted based on the input, and then you can create outputs based on text input. Because it's just sort of reverse engineered, and it's going to give you a conglomeration of all the images out there of a tiger. If you go to create an image of a tiger, it'll just sort of take in a way, it's like the average of all the images that it's ever seen at a very simple level. But there's back propagation, there's correction from human reinforcement and things like that. But Chris, you've actually got a better schematic for text to image here.
Yeah, this is specifically how the diffusion models work.
Okay.
Which is mainly what you're going to come in contact with. Well, the diffusion just means noise. So basically, it takes the image from the database and adds more and more noise through different steps and uses that to kind of train the model to analyze which steps are correct and how much noise there is and how much there isn't. And then when you're generating the image, you go to the text does its language model thing, and then it does the opposite. It starts with noise and pulls it back to an image through the subsequent steps. So as you see, there's a loop in the middle, and that's the most important part, because the more times it loops around, the better the image will come out, because it's just going through and recorrecting with the text prompt for each step to get it better and better and closer to what you're asking for.
Right. Yeah. And really, I don't want to get too technical, but I think this is helpful background, because you'll kind of see, you might see this at play as we go through the examples, because sometimes it'll be right on, and sometimes it'll be kind of off, and you'll see it sort of figuring it out as you change your prompt. So that's great background. Let's jump into our models, I think would be next. So Dall-E is the one that we're experimenting with on our hometown, correct, Chris? Because we use OpenAI.
That's correct.
Okay. And so this is in beta. Actually, it's not quite in beta yet. We're going to announce a beta sign up for our customers to get access to this plugin, but we're still, very much in the development phase. But again, this is the same company that runs ChatGPT. So it's a pay per play kind of thing. You pay for the images. Images are much more expensive than the text, but we're kind of figuring out all those costs right now and how to make this work. For Dall-E, anything else? Should we jump into an example of Dall-E, or did you want to? Okay, looks like you got one ready. Perfect. Okay, so just give us a little demonstration. Have some fun with this, Chris. You can put in a new prompt, or I would love to get some feedback from our audience. If you want to ask it for a prompt, we can put it in here. But can you just show us a little bit about how this works?
Yeah, I'll just try another 4th of July thing here, and we'll see what Dall-E gives us here. So, family having a picnic in a park, looking up at the night sky, wide shot from behind. And there's our progress bar, and it by default, it'll generate 4 variations. There you go.
So that's just kind of your first pass. You could just keep saying generate, right? And it would just keep giving you new variations.
Yeah, the one thing about Dall-E is you can't really steer it outside of just the prompt, in the same way that you can get a little more technical with some of the other ones. So what I could add here is let's say 4K photo DSLR you can even put like focal links and all kinds of stuff in here, and we can see what that can do. Yeah, I just don't know enough about camera lenses and things to do that, but I have seen now. So you can see it's completely different, especially this one here.
Right. Well, I think
See,
our
here's the
photographers
previous one.
would
Yeah,
definitely
here's
know.
the previous one.
Right.
And then there's that one, and you can see how
Yeah.
much cleaner it is as a photo if you prompt it as to behave that way.
Right. Yeah. So again, like at a real basic level, you're just talking to this thing just like you would ChatGPT. It's just the output is now images rather than text. So it's really just a matter of experimenting with the prompts.
Let's do one more.
And you're saying the only way to really control Dall-E is with prompts. That's interesting. So I think with Adobe, there would be other kind of configurations that you could set. Oh, that looks cool. Wow.
That one, yeah, that one came out nicely. Yeah, cityscape in the background. Firefly offers the online version of the Adobe stuff. Firefly offers lots of options that I believe will be coming to Photoshop itself in time. But Photoshop itself is more of a prompt-based and selection-based workflow where and actually, why don't I hop back over to the next slide here?
That makes sense. Yeah, let's see the difference here for Firefly. Yeah.
So it's still using the diffusion style stuff like that, but as you can see, there's lots more options here. So if I just hop over to Firefly proper, we can run this live. One of the cool things they have is this is just their gallery to get you going. And so you can just try a prompt.
Okay.
And then basically you can then retype what you want, long exposure photograph of a Ferris wheel. Is that how you spell that? Yeah, we'll see. And you can change it to photo, and there's like a bunch of stuff over here for lighting options and different art styles and stuff. But there you go.
That's cool. Yeah, I really want to focus on this because this is what people are going to have probably the easiest access to. Like everyone on the call, if you've got Adobe Creative Cloud, you have access to the beta of Firefly. So this would be a great way to get started with it. But yeah, the difference is you're not just typing in text. You can come over, select the content type. So what are some of those examples? Like art would be more like a painting if you want more like a...
And technically, these are kind of just prompt assistants in a way to kind of help you get along without having to type and remember and do all these different things.
Right, exactly. It's sort of shortcuts right there. Okay.
And I had photographs still in the prompt, so I'm going to do long exposure image of Ferris wheel with art, and because it was still giving us kind of a photo there.
Okay, let's see. Can one prompt diversity and skin color of humans in the scene? Yeah, definitely. I've seen that. Can we come up with an example? Let's say something for maybe the 4th of July, whichever engine you prefer. You could just stay in here, and then we can show off maybe some more of these styles.
And let me make that a photo. One of the things though is Matt remarked earlier, faces are not too bad in this one.
Yeah, but you can see where it kind of falls short, and it would be better if it was from the back, like you said in the early example, probably. Because if you really get in there, you can see. I mean, you all have maybe seen the memes online of the AI videos that are coming out. They're just like nightmare material. I made one just for us. Yeah,
I made one for us. Yeah,
nice. Okay, well, good. We'll see that.
I'd actually like to try this one in Dream Studio, because what you can do in Dream Studio, this is from Stable Diffusion. And the huge difference with this one is it allows you to negative prompt, which as far as I know, none of the other models let you do that. So I was just looking up a universal negative prompt to make people look better. And it lists things like poorly drawn hands, extra toes, all those kind of things, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And you can also do style choices here. So let's do a photographic, and I'll just leave it at that, and let's just see what we get here. I will say that Stable Diffusion, this is their paid version. Oh, that looks great. This is their paid version, but it is open source, and that you have the opportunity to run this locally if you want. But yeah, that looks. I think all the fingers are pretty decent. Oh, her face is a little bad, but yeah,
Right.
that's one of the things you'll
Interesting.
get is
Yeah.
the
negative prompts. So then I guess another thing that people might be interested in is just editing a current photo, like a real photo, and just adding something to it.
Well, if you'd like, I can transition this, because these are the online engines that are out there. But as Matt pointed out earlier, most of us in this industry are working with the Adobe Creative Cloud products. So I want to show you guys where you can actually find this. So this is the Creative Cloud application, and you've got your photo apps and all that. But if you come down here to beta apps, this is where you can get all the beta versions. And this is just part of your subscription if you want to try them out. Oh, and I even have an update available. So there's probably something new going on already. But I just wanted to point out, this is where you find this version of Photoshop, where I'm going to show you some fun things. So let's swap over to Photoshop, and you were asking for a real photo. So this is a photo I took in 2002 when I was visiting Maine.
Okay.
So what might we want to do with this? Can anybody point out some problems they see with this photo that we could correct?
Right.
How about those people in the background? I don't want people in the background of my picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, and I'm going to create a new file, and then I'm going to paste this in. And then I'm going to select, just with the marquee tool, right around those people, tap generative fill. And this new toolbar is part of the beta. And I'm just going to say remove people. And this is using Firefly. Bye people.
Yeah. Nice.
And then there's a couple of variations.
Okay.
The other thing, let's get rid of the volleyball net. I don't want that in there.
Right.
Remove pole and wire. And then I got one more I want to show you after this. It'll blow your mind. I was testing this today.
Nice. Yeah. So I think just the point I want to make here, obviously all things that a skilled Photoshop, designer could do, but it would take a while. This just is a tool for people to, do these things a lot quicker.
And you can see it gives you variations. So if you don't like that one, maybe this one maintains the forest a little better. Okay, now the fun part. I'm going to collapse this back into a single layer. So then that commits all of the AI removal stuff I had.
Right.
And now, if I'm going to adjust my canvas size, this was done with an old computer. So let's do what is it? 3840 by 2160. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All
okay.
right.
I think I know where you're going.
Now what I want to do is
we're
just going to bring this up a little bit, not the whole thing. We'll commit the transform. We'll switch back to the marquee tool. I'm going to select just inside, and then I'm going to invert the selection. So now it's going to be generating content outside of the central image. And the key thing here is when you click generative image, it says leave it blank, and it will generate from the content that's already there. Wow. So I'm just going to hit generate and check this out.
Okay.
This is like a 20-year-old photo on a Canon S110, and I'm going to turn it into a 4K 16:9.
Right.
Just like that.
Okay. Yeah. So
Once again, you get variations
Mhm.
on the edges, and you can see exactly where the mask was, but you can't tell if you're not changing the content. It just disappears completely.
Right. Yeah. It's seamless. Okay. So I guess I don't have any official polls set up for this, but if we could get some feedback in the chat, any one of those features, can you see using that in just editing your print edition or, creating new online content? Just would love to kind of get a read of the room there, but very cool. So that's a pretty good demo of Adobe. So Kristen says the tools available in Photoshop will be useful to us. So I'm actually curious, would it be any one of those specifically, like removing the people or expanding the range of the image? Looks like Elise is already using the Photoshop tools for Florida Weekly. Very cool.
Yeah, extending backgrounds. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you do use it for that. Okay.
If I show you the neural filters that are coming out, this is also part of the AI system. They've got skin smoothing. There's a backdrop creator. So if you you pull the subject out, it'll create a new backdrop for you. I haven't even gotten into these yet. There's just so many, photo restoration ones and all that. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming down the pike with these guys. The other thing I did want to show though is if I just create a new file, and I just do a select all,
right?
I can then use the same prompt from anywhere. What was I using on Firefly? Yeah, okay. Just grabbing a prompt. You don't actually have to start with an image. You can start with a blank canvas and give it a prompt just like you would on Firefly. The only difference, of course, is you don't have some of those extra settings and things. But I was able to get fairly comparable quality doing everything directly from within Photoshop.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good shortcut. But you only get no, you do have multiple variations here too. Okay, that's right. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, that's actually what I was wondering, Kristen, is for advertising and promotional purposes, you find it useful. So are you creating ads this way or just kind of using it to create images quickly for your ads? Because I don't know, like, could you create an ad with this? Because isn't the text kind of still a little off on these things?
Yeah, you would not use it for the text portion. You would only use it for the image and then use your normal Photoshop stuff to do that. Yeah, that is one thing is you can what I found is if you kind of create the parts of the image that, you do it in layers, because if the people aren't going to look great, you don't necessarily want the people in there, or you want to try it a few times with some different models and things like that. Or the way I got around that was I said shot from behind.
Right.
To get them to face the other way. So then you get them looking at the fireworks without necessarily having to deal with fun faces and fingers and stuff like that.
Arms.
And of course it completely ignored me, didn't it? Yeah, it did.
Oh, that's strange. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense for them to be turned around anyway. In the Rockies, I'm not sure who this is. If you could maybe drop your name and which paper you're with, I'd love to address you. Kid had a potato. Yeah. So someone in the Rockies is using fill content aware, and now it looks like Adobe has much more powerful tools. AI has some pretty ugly flaws that I think are not passable to print. I think that's definitely true. Okay, Don, great. We're actually going to look at this in a future webinar, maybe the idea of reverse publishing AI content, probably starting with articles. because that's much more passable and much easier to edit, obviously. But yeah, I would agree. I think this is really just to fill in your homepage on the website and your news feed on Facebook to get more, images in the mix. So what have we got here? Just more experimentation for the webinar.
I just started out with this, and basically, okay. So if you just select the pixels or select the subject or whatever here,
Right.
Select subject, just selects the head, and then invert it again, and then digital.
So this is how you created basically the ad for this webinar.
Yeah, the new background.
Yeah. Awesome. So compared to what it would normally take you, any idea of like how much time, what the time difference was? Like if you had to go into Photoshop and just mock that up.
It just wouldn't be as interesting. I've been having to rely on basically kind of Photoshop generated abstract textures and stuff that you find on stock photos.
Okay.
And in this case,
right.
I generated the head in one pass in a different program, and then you bring it in here, and now you can do some very interesting things in here. Let's do.
That's cool. Yeah.
Digital ocean is what we need. And you can just create variations off of that so we needed to advertise this, or like the graduation one that I made. That's actually back in the slideshow, but these aren't, the gradient's nice though. But yeah, you can keep playing with these quite a bit. Let's see, I think I had a couple of other ones in here. No, I think that's one of my favorites right there. But so let's see, can you copyright this logo? Matt, do you want me to get into that at all?
Oh, right. Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, let me get back to the slideshow then. So I was just showing you this bit with generative fill. You guys have already said you've been playing with it, so you kind of know how it works, and that was what we were going on. Here's a couple of extra use cases that I put together, but we can come back to that. So content credentials. If I go back to Adobe Firefly and I actually try to download one of these, this is what you're going to get. So promoting transparency in AI. This is going to basically tag the image with a computed hash. It's like a blockchain thing, like an NFT, but what it allows you to do is, instead of an NFT where you sell like a monkey picture for $300,000, this just allows you to track anywhere your image goes, and if anyone uses the image, it'll basically track that, and so you would know if someone's altered your image and done anything with it, you have recourse. There's basically a trail of edits that's included in this. So I'm going to go ahead and download this.
Okay. So you're saying any image generated in Firefly would have this tag, sort of like a modern watermark, like cryptographic watermark. And then if someone did what you did and removed the people or whatever,
that would be recorded.
Right. Sort of in this blockchain that is public, but it's only for images done through Adobe, right? Because not all the programs are doing that.
Well, they've released open source code for anyone to implement the creation of the tagging and the reading and displaying of the tagging. Because you have to have both parts of that. You want to be able to put your name on it, but then anywhere it's displayed, you want someone to be able to see your name on it. It goes back to the captioning thing we were mentioning before.
Yep.
So this is the Content Authority Initiative is pairing with was kind of funded initially by Adobe, but you can see who's involved. I mean, Getty's in there, Gannett. You got camera makers, broadcasters. All these people are on board with this. So even though it's not rolling out to some of the other models, I'm guessing like a photo editor like GIMP or something is open source. I don't see why they wouldn't put it in and stuff. So this is what I was just taking you through. And
Right.
when you actually get it into Photoshop, this is what the content credentials look like. So I made this asset with Firefly, and then I basically used the generative fill to put a coffee table in there. And so that's in there now. And so all of these steps will be visible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so, and you'll see down here, it only applies the credentials when you export. So it's not doing a bunch of stuff all the time. It's just whenever you want to commit, export, send something out, you can publish the content credentials to Adobe's verification service, which is managed by the previous company I mentioned, Content Authority. And they provide a way, it's called Verify, and you can drag and drop any image you find on the web, and it will show you all of the content credentials, names, all these kind of things. That is just attached. It will just be there. Like I said, that's why they're using the blockchain, because you can't break it. You know, you can never delete anything from it. That kind of deal. Let's see the next slide. You can even see between these two slides that you can even take a look at the individual assets before and after they were edited. So this is before I added the coffee table, and then this is after I added the coffee table. And both of these are available when you're viewing the content credentials that are built in from this tool.
In Verify, right? But
and Verify is run by Adobe and the Content Authority guys.
Okay.
And so here's a quick little thing. So basically, any photo is going to have this eye icon on it. You click on the eye icon, and it basically shows you all the stuff that is on the Verify site. So what this means for our customers and our content creators is we'll want people to, as soon as they feel comfortable, start engaging, putting content credentials and things, and then us on the server side can use the open source SDKs they have here to then make sure that this displays like this when someone's coming to view your website. All the images will have the eye on there, so they can click on it and get this. This is separate from any kind of like captioning you do for your actual news copy, but just for the history of the image itself. This is where Adobe's putting their money.
Interesting. Yeah, it's full transparency. I guess the thing I'm wondering about for Mark is, I guess the answer is yes, but how do you know if someone's stolen it? I mean, you can go and take an image and check it on Verify, but is there any kind of alert when like Adobe detects your image being used somewhere else?
I don't know exactly what the limitations are on that. I'm pretty sure this is just a way of tracking. So for misinformation, but also for attribution. You can't not know who owns this, or who did the initial work, because everything else would be derivative from that and whatnot.
Right. Got it. So will the history of an image slow down websites? Interesting question.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of outside my expertise, but yeah, it shouldn't. And this is all still kind of in development on our end. Adobe's got it going, but like Chris said, we would have to use these SDKs. So we're not really testing this out yet. It's kind of just down the pipeline. Okay, so then anything else on this? I forget. I think you had a couple more slides.
It was a bit more on the source of where these models are getting their information from.
Right. Yeah, I think that's maybe we might want to do a whole separate webinar on that, since we're kind of running low on time. I do want to switch over. So let me clean up my screen a little bit here. Can I maybe take back control?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Because I was gonna address RJ's question.
Yeah.
Look, because the Content Authority Initiative is working with camera companies, I will be very curious to see if the pipeline for content credentials can actually start at the camera level and then go from there. Workflow standard captioning in photo and photo mechanic. I think the main difference is that there's no way to get rid of the credentials ever.
Okay, so anything else on that, Chris? Or
I can show a couple of Stable Diffusion fun things, but I think for most of our audience, I was focusing on the Photoshop ideas.
Gotcha. Let's try to get some ideas in the last 15 minutes for things that people would like to see you demo in Stable Diffusion. Would that sound good?
Yeah, let me bring. I did want to mention that we were looking at Dream Studio over here, but I mentioned that this is open source, but since it's running on their web services, this is for pay. But since it's open source, a clever gent has basically built a optimized for the latest Mac super chips, Apple Silicon chips, and you can get some pretty impressive performance just from your own computer. So I'm going to share this program. It's called Diffusion Bee, and it basically offers all of the options that you find in the other ones, and then 50 times more. Because
wow.
This is all custom programmed and stuff like that. But yeah, the text to image stuff works. But what I just wanted to show you guys, this just came out. This is the beta version of this app. It just came out a week ago, and look at this.
Oh.
You can give it 3 prompts or 4 prompts in a row, and it will interpolate and zoom in between them. I made this today. And I was like, okay, this is my new favorite thing.
Yeah, so you're just kind of zooming in on a mountain, but you could kind of go between different scenes like completely, right? Like it.
Oh yeah, that's the interpolator, where you have one prompt and then you give it a second prompt, and it will interpolate between them over a certain number of frames. I don't want to hit a live demo on that because they're a little they take a while.
You never know. Yeah, seriously.
But they have like a whole canvas thing where you can like just draw boxes and basically say use text prompts to put stuff in here, use text prompts to put stuff in here, and it's almost like an AI painting canvas that. And as I said, this just came out, so I'm still working on it. Image to image is fairly standard.
Oh, okay. So what's that one doing? That's a real image, and then it's just taking things out.
This was a text image I made,
okay,
or text image I made, and then when it gave it to me, for some reason there's a human hand in this painting down here, and I was trying to get rid of it.
Okay,
because I was like, why is it a human hand? Although that's kind of funny in a philosophical way, but yeah, anything you generate in the text image, and you can do this with Dall-E and stuff too, and just say generate 10 more variations of just this picture instead of going back through the whole thing every time, and then you can adjust how strong it adheres to the original image and stuff like that. That's where that can be pretty useful.
Interesting.
The other thing about doing this way is you can use as many different models as you want. Hugging Face must have 150,000 trained models. Like some are trained on comic books, some are trained on anime, some are trained on actual other AI image generators. Like I downloaded one to try it out. It's called Open Journey, and it's just been trained on Mid-Journey output. So you can kind of it's a weird combination of things. So it's actually can be pretty interesting. But this is it's just called Diffusion Bee. This runs on Apple Silicon Macs, and it's completely free. It takes space to download the models and everything, but you're basically running everything directly on your machine.
Right. It's a local app, so it's quicker. And also
depending on your computer.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. But then you're not really like sharing it. Is that the idea? Like you can create this stuff completely privately if it's not web based.
Yep.
Because then
Exactly.
they're
I mean,
not
this is also where some of the darker parts of the image generation stuff. I mean, anytime it's open source and available to anybody, people will take advantage of
right.
of it in however way they may or may not see fit.
Right.
I'm looking at this I've got an M1 Max and it runs about 0.42 seconds per step.
Okay.
And I think if you get on the Windows side, if you guys are familiar in there, I think a 3090 or whatever would probably be closer to 5. So even though it's optimized, you still can't beat NVIDIA's beefy video cards for this kind of stuff. But I can still generate images in like 30 or 40 seconds. The videos, 34 seconds each frame. So yeah.
I see. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see using that video generator for just like a GIF on the homepage or something, or a GIF. Okay, cool. So yeah, if anyone has any questions on images for Chris, or if you have any ideas for prompts that you'd like to have us demonstrate, just throw them in the chat. So you should be able to see the Our Hometown chatbot screen. Do you have that, Chris?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, basically we're kind of exploring the training process. We put the chatbot on our homepage for Our Hometown to just kind of answer questions about our platform. And then now Chris is working on training it, he kind of giving it feedback, giving it kind of adjusting the weights that we were talking about on a lot of the hidden layers, and just kind of generating better output is the end goal. At the same, so that's kind of at the Our Hometown marketing site. That's a little bit further ahead. We're just now testing in beta on Clark County Democrat, a newspaper chatbot. And I do have, I think, the live example here still. I'm not sure. Hold on a second. Let me pull this one more tab over so I can give you a side by side. Okay, so the chatbot we can have a page for it, or we can have it in the corner here on any page. And the idea would be this could answer questions about, long term, my hope is that it could answer questions about the town, the archives. It could just be a thing that you could have a conversation with, and it would be like a local historian. Initially, we'll probably limit the application to just, kind of customer support with subscriptions and things like that. But just for the sake of testing, it's not limited right now. And when you start up the conversation, I have this example here, and there's some bugs with the CSS. As you can see, we're right on the cutting edge here. So this just came out this week, but I really wanted to show you. I could ask it a question about, just tell me about the Clark County Democrat. It gives me a very accurate answer. A lot of this is in the About Us section of the website. So that's working great. But if I go over to ChatGPT, just the open source program that's kind of available to the public, it does not give me any kind of answer. It kind of tries to guess at it just based on the title, but it clearly does not know about this newspaper. And part of that is, because of the way we've locked down the content. So the idea here is that we could, one day have really just, if we could lock down this content, we could have a unique AI chatbot experience that you couldn't get anywhere else. With ChatGPT, you wouldn't be able to ask it about the town because, the archives would be locked down, but you would be able to get those high quality, just super relevant, detailed answers from the newspaper chatbot. And we would want people to go there and then just drive engagement with the articles. Here's another question I put in. Tell me about this week's headlines. So it really didn't do a very good job with this. It kind of just gave me a cop-out answer. But what I imagine for this is if we could kind of tweak it and customize it so that you could ask just like a generic question, give me the most popular articles of the week, of the month, of the year. You could just query it in all different kinds of ways. Once we have some of the SQL functions plugged into this, we'll be able to do that. But right now, it's not working. But engineering tells me that's very easy once we just activate these functions. So it's just a matter of time. We got a question here. Will the chatbot fact check a story? That's a great question. I'm not sure how that would work. I haven't thought of that as a kind of like an application of this, just fact checking. What we've imagined is it would be more for content creation, where if you could have a form where you could kind of just enter the facts of the story, the who, what, where, when, why, and then it would generate a draft article that you could then you would fact check. I guess in theory you could, but I don't know if you would want this to be your like fact checker, like at the end of.
I would limit it to spell check and grammar.
Yeah, it's more of a grammar engine than like a search engine. It's like a logic engine more so. So it understands words and the English language and semantics and things like that, but it does get facts wrong. So yeah, that's something that Sam Altman's been very clear about with ChatGPT. It's not a search engine. So I would say probably from that.
You can augment it with a search engine, which is kind of what Bing's been doing.
Exactly. Yes.
But we kind of want to build our own Bing chatbot that kind of can do what we want it to do and not just search everywhere. We want to limit it to just searching the content that you want it to look at, which in this case would be the paper's content for the newspaper.
Exactly. Yes. It's going to keep them on the website. It's going to reference articles in the archives exclusively. And you're right. I think the way Bing is doing it is definitely the way to go. Like they're very transparent. If you type a question into ChatGPT, it just gives you an answer. You have no idea how it put together that answer, what the references are. But with Bing, they give you all that, and we could do the same. So, if we are putting together, tell me about Clark County, Alabama. Like that's the question. There's a lot of facts in this. We would want to have references, I would think. So like
that's what GPT-4 brings to the table. That's why it's more expensive, because it will do citations and everything. Like the prompt thing I showed you, it actually had footnotes for each of those prompts where it got it from.
Right. Yeah, it is version 4, and we're still on 3 right now. Again, exactly because of the expense, just for testing. But long term, we'll definitely want to move to that. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so if we could just have links to the articles that were used to generate this response, then that would give you sort of everything that you need, because you could then read the full article that this language model used to come up with this one fact about the economy, for example. So there's that. And then write a news article about Clark County using real news articles from the Clark County Democrat. So this is just, again, just playing with this model. I don't know if, it would really make sense to use it in exactly this way. We kind of see it more along the lines of what I described earlier, where you input the facts and then it generates something. But this is just a totally made up news article that's, some kind of conglomeration of the archives, and it pulls in real people. Sheriff Norris, we can search for him in the archives, and he's a real person. So this is tricky stuff. I mean, I think if you're gonna get into this and allow users to ask open-ended questions about the archives, I mean, there's got to be some kind of disclaimer on this thing. We've got to, and this is what Elon Musk always talks about, like, the dangers of AI, like this stuff spinning out of control. So, we don't want misinformation out there, obviously. So we just got to be very careful about this, but the tools are out there. And I think we just kind of need to fight fire with fire at this point. So we want to stay on top of this and use these tools rather than get used by them. So the first step is locking down your website, again, just so that, ChatGPT can't be scraping your content and basically writing articles about your town using all the information that you've researched. Oh yeah, this is just the interface I wanted to show for the chatbot. So like this chatbot could potentially like follow the user around on the website so they could ask it, no matter where they are, for help. Just wanted to open it up to the group. Any other ideas for AI applications, either with, text-based content with like ChatGPT, text generation, or image generation, or video? Would be interested in how you think your paper could use these things.
Or I would throw audio into the mix there too, because of the advanced voice cloning things that are coming out, and there's going to be a lot of interesting developments in that space too.
Yeah. So that's funny. Yeah, that's an area that our hometown has been in for a couple of years now, just generating audio articles from the text content. But now it seems like it's just taken this quantum leap forward, and you can have movie stars, like famous personalities reading your articles, and it sounds super realistic. I'm sure many of you have seen videos online of Leonardo DiCaprio's speech being read by Al Pacino, or it just changes between all these different people seamlessly.
And I did want to add to that the content credential stuff will be applied to those other modalities as well. That is the plan. So those kind of things about being able to track down where the AI generated, who was it cloned from, those kind of things, I think are going to be really important in that space too.
Right, for sure.
And even video, because I'm pretty sure like Premiere Pro will probably have a content credentials variation of itself. I think they're going to put it pretty much in all the Adobe content creation apps.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's the same issue in all media. Cool. Just for anyone that doesn't know us, I know a lot of folks on the call are customers, but a lot aren't also. So, our hometown does newspaper websites. We've been doing this for 26 years. We do native apps, work with newspapers all across North America. Everything's based on WordPress, and these AI plugins are just one example of how quickly we can change the platform and, adapt to the new atmosphere. And we're really just focused on automation. We've been doing the PDF to HTML extraction for years. So if you're looking to offload, updating your website each week, we could just scrape that PDF and get all the stories online, turn them into audio articles, and then also getting into ChatGPT powered text editors soon. And just a couple of upcoming events. If you are interested in any of these, let me know. As a non-customer, I can get you in to Kevin Slimp's webinars sometimes, but they're free for all our hometown customers. So if you're interested in learning InDesign, he's got a session on that next month. I think it's the 13th of July. And then we're going to follow that up on the following week with a discussion on this idea of reverse publishing AI content, like I mentioned earlier. And then in August, we're going to be looking at some AI safety issues, security, more of the authentication stuff. So if you're interested in any of these events, let me know and I'll put you on the guest list. We'll be doing a similar webinar to this. And if anyone's interested in a prototype, anyone not on WordPress already, just scan that QR code. You can send us a PDF of your paper and we'll turn it into a full HTML mobile responsive website through our extraction process. And we do rapid prototyping, so we could turn that around in about a week. And I think that's really all that I have for you today. So thank you very much for sticking around for the full hour, everyone. I appreciate your time. We are experimenting. If anyone's interested, let me know. We're kind of doing these listen parties where we watch podcasts, from just the leaders in the AI industry, and we kind of talk about what they're saying and how it relates to our field. So if anyone's interested in that, let us know. Thank you very much, Beth. I appreciate that feedback. Beth says that was so interesting. Thank you so much. Really fascinating. I appreciate it. Yeah, we try to give you the big picture, but also give you some really practical applications. So I want to really thank Chris. Couldn't have done this without you, Chris. Thank you for all your leadership in this area, and look forward to talking with you in future webinars about more development.
Very much appreciate being involved and being able to share.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Lisa. I see you there. And I appreciate it, everyone, for your time. And the recording will be available tomorrow. If you want to share it with any of your friends, we'd love that. Thank you again for your time, and we'll see you in a month for our next webinar. Hopefully, you'll be able to make that one too. Take care.